princess in the 5 year princess channel. Welcome to our nation. And I'm here to talk to you about what you can see in Disneyplus. I did 2 other videos previously. Check it out in my channel when you visit. And right now I am here to talk to you about a 2024 Disney movie called Witch. It is a cartoon animated movie, yes, but it's quite interesting, really. It is about a sorcerer who tell people he wants to make their wishes come true, and once they offer their wishes, he will grant them protection and make sure their needs are met. And that was been going on for years. And new people come and they just stay and live, and once they reach 18, they will offer up their wishes. And if they pass that, or they new to the island and they decided to stay, they'll offer up their wishes to them. But once they do that, they will forget what their wish was actually was. So instead of pursuing their own dreams by themselves, they choose to forget about it and let another person decide on whether or not their dream will come true. And this little girl, who's almost 18, wants to be the sorcerer king's apprentice. And then she found out the horrible truth. On the day of her interview, she met the king, and we live with her. She is, as you will see, it could be a little awkward for her, but the king made it possible for her to relax. And so was good earlier that day. But then she found out that all the wishes will be granted, and none of her family's wishes, not her grandfather's and not her mother's. Previously, when she was a child, her dad believed on the power of wishes and was the reason why she loved roses more. Not just the king, but her father is the person who made her believe in the kingdom which they lived in. And because she found out the truth and didn't accept it, he decided not to go and accept her as his apprentice, and none of her family's wishes would be met. So she did what any young girl in her predicament do. She decided to steal her family's wishes from the king. So she convinced her friends to go and help her out. She snuck into the castle, gone to the secret room where the wishes are, took her grandfather's wish, but the king came early, so he couldn't get his mother's wish. So she had to go, sneak back out, and get the wish to her grandfather and sneak back in to get mothers. But when she gave back her grandfather's his wish, and he regretted giving the king his wish when he found out about what his wish entailed. The king visited him and crushed his mother's wish in front of their eyes, so he wasn't able to see or hear about what his wish her wish was. But when he crushed her wish, he granted more power, so he became mad with power again. He was a nice animal, and his joke is with his wife is he's the most handsomest king in all the world, or something like that. So you already know he had an ego. And then he found out he could get more power by crushing the dreams of his subjects and absorbed that energy into himself. So he became power hungry, egotistical, and he became corrupt. The worst three things a king can do. And he made it so his subjects will think his number one enemy is Allah. And the one who pointed out that she was the one who took the wishes was her friend Simon. Simon turned 18 and got his wish, and he became gloomy and more mellow and quiet, which was unlike him. So he wanted his wish granted because he wanted more for himself. And it turns out his wish was be the king's number one most loyal knight in all the land. And he wasn't himself when he became a knight. In order to get their wishes granted, the king will take the orb, which is holding their wish, and will put it back inside themselves with his power, and that is what will grant them their wish. But he, unlike previously, instead of a normal kind, he used dark magic kind. And he made a staff that sacrificing 3 wishes. One was a lady who wanted to fly. Another, a lady who wanted to sail and be captain of her own ship. And I can't remember what the third wish was. But it turns out that every time a wish is crushed, the person who owned that wish, they will feel a great sadness in themselves. And she didn't want that for her people. So after taking her family to safety, she snuck back into Rosa's and convinced her friends to help her steal back all the wishes from all the people in the country with help with a star, which the king wanted to get more power for himself. Power hungry again, at his finest. And the queen, after finding out what the king had done, decided to help them. And with her plan, they was able to defeat the king, but sadly he couldn't be saved. So the only thing which could have been done was he had to go and be sealed away in the staff which he created previously with the sacrifice of the true wishes wanting. And that is the rundown of the Disney movie Wish. And if you like that one, you can also go with Tangled, which is another Disneyplus movie, which is about Rapunzel, but it's a little twisted in it. It's same storyline. She's trapped in the tower, and but instead of a prince to save her, we have a thief. And instead of a normal long hair, we get a golden hair touch from the sun-drop flower. So as this entrance goes, before the country was made and everything, and a piece of the sun fell and dripped down in the their left side, somewhere near where the country will be, and it will form a magical flower. And if you sing a certain song to it, it will grant you youth and heal any wounds you may have. So it's a very magical, very powerful plant, and it's comforted by the old woman who would go by the cliff, sing the special song, and regain her beauty. She is very obsessed with beauty. If you see Snow White's stepmother, who was very obsessed with being the most beautiful woman in the land, then you know what kind of character this old woman had. So instead of sharing it to the world, she coveted it for herself and hid it with a basket of leaves and vines and everything to make it look like a kind of hedge kind of thing. And one day the king's wife, the queen, was sick, and when he heard about this flower, he gone and made every soul in the land to find the flower. In her haste, the old woman knocked down the covering when she tried to escape from the place to go and make sure no one found that flower. But because she knocked it down, the knights was able to find it and heal the queen, but it lost its power. But instead, it transferred to the princess with her long golden hair. The old woman snuck in. I don't know how she snuck in this castle. It's supposed to have guards and everything, but somehow she snuck in without any special abilities and tried to snip out a little lock of hair. But once it was cut off from her, it lost its power and turned brown hair just like the queen's. So she gone and stole the princess and locked her away in the tower just like any normal Rapunzel movie storyline, and teach her the special song. So every other day when she feels like she's turning back old, she would sing that special song, and when the little girl grew up around 16 or so, yeah, I believe it was 16, this storyline made her to be, she painted You could see all the paintings she did around the world. You knew she was educated because she knew how to chart stars and she knew about making pottery and everything. She had a lot of time being alone in the uh, in the tower with only her mother Gothel, well, to keep her company. And we found out her most favorite dish, yeah, which she only gets on her special occasions. But every year on her birthday, which she knew was her birthday, uh, she would see lights floating from the earth to the sky, and Mother Gothel would say it was stars. But she knew, she charted stars, so she knew that wasn't stars. If not, and stars wasn't supposed to float up in the sky like that. But he, she was still locked away. She was scared. Later on, we found out she was scared to step out the tower because of what happened to her hair. She knew somebody cut her hair, and that's why it lost its power. But then we saw late before that, earlier on in the movie, we saw that there was a thief, kind of handsome, not really my type, but still handsomeness, accompanied by two boorish, orcish kind of men, one with an eye patch, one without, which was brothers. And he was obsessed on what he could get with this princess's tiara, which the king and queen kept. And he was fantasizing about getting his castle, a castle of his very own. But these two brothers didn't trust him, and for very good reason. So when they got the tiara, they put it in a satchel, and they was holding onto it. And when he was needed to climb over the wall, they made it sure that he gonna not get it, but he was very sneaky. He made it believe that how he will climb up first and then pull them out for safety, so they will make sure they will have the tiara. But it turns out when they wasn't paying attention, he took the tiara in the satchel and ran away. So they were pissed, like wanting to kill him, pissed. And the horse, which is supposed to be the leader of the night guard's horse, Maximus is his name, white, majestic, but white like a human and quite like a dog. If he liked the flesh and everything, but he understands what it is to be a knight and acts like it. And he's very forceful, so most humans fear him. Even the gods feared him. So he was chased by Maximus and led to the tower. And he climbed that tower with his hands, and I think it was arrows, and I'm too sure. I can't remember exactly how he went and got it, but he went inside the tower, and Rapunzel heard many stories about people outside had fangs, like our humans, vampires or something. Is all of the people in the world bad except for Mother Gothel because she was scared of being around people? Luckily and thankfully, she is quite naive. Even though she heard those things, she was curious. So she knocked him off with a frying pan on pencil fight. She hid the satchel which he had and wanted to make a deal with him. You'll get the satchel when he takes her out of the tower and go to where the stars. She referred them to the stars, but found out it was the lights for the princess for her birthday. They struck a deal, and he took her out of the tower. But when they reached the base of the tower, she was torn between two sides to stay because she was still scared of humans. She didn't know the truth about herself by the time. So she still thinks Motogato that's our overprotective mom. So he tried to use that to get the satchel and not to under the end of his deal. But in the end, he still gone and had to take she along. Take her to a tavern called the Lucky Duckling, but it is a tavern for bounty hunters kind of people. The ones with the eye patches and the hooks and everything. And unlike how the first impression they have, they was very nice people, and because of how the guy who is Flynn acted, didn't like that much. They still kind of helped him out because of his acquaintance with Rapunzel, so they still tolerated him. They helped her go in the secret passageway when the guards was gonna come for them because they wanted their bounty earlier. There was a bounty on her head and wanted to get it on Flynn's head. And because of Rapunzel helped him escape so he wouldn't be arrested. But then we saw Flynn's ex-compatriots there with the guards. And the guards left him with a puny little newbie guard. So of course they're gonna escape. And they met up with Motogato, who gave them the satchel with the crown, which the Rapunzel hid earlier, and made a deal. They will either take the satchel and go, or capture the Rapunzel, and the best part of the deal, they will get even with Flynn. So they agreed to the deal and started to work with her. Flynn walked along with Rapunzel, found Maximus. They struck a deal with Maximus. As I said, he acted like a human at most times. So he understood and agreed. He would not arrest them until she saw the lights in the sky. They snuck into the kingdom, and because of a long hair, he wanted to do something nice. So he saw little girls plaiting their hair by the fountain, and asked them to go and be able to plait her hair, and they was happy to do so because that is what they loved. And they found out there was a festival that came out to celebrate the long lost princess, and they started dance, and we saw in her creative self took the flags from the decorations in the lines and made a gigantic national emblem of the sunflower with purple, which is their emblem there. And after they dance and everything, they, um, they took the boat and watched the lights. Earlier on, which I didn't say previously, he, when they found out about she would be in Flynn, and the guards chased Flynn and her. I went to a kind of canyon kind of place where he was trapped there with the Rapunzel because Flynn fought with Maximus, born in a kind of water kind of man-made channel, and knocked down the columns that supported it, so it was flooding out. So they went in a kind of cave-like thing and was trapped there because the rocks in the entrance of that place was crashing down and blocked the entrance, and water was gushing in and they was going to die. So he found out her hair, she had magical hair that glowed when she sang, and she sang the song. They was able to see and was able to pull the stones away and came out. But in doing so, he had his arm injured because he couldn't see before she was singing. So he cut his hand, and he decided to go on and trust him with what her abilities entailed. And the kind of iguana, which is kind of like her pet, and just like Maximus, had human characteristics, but very, very bossy. And even Maximus, the horse that could crush him, was scared of him. So she wrapped her hand around like this, her hair around his hand like this, and she started to sing the song, and it started to glow from the roots of her hair going straight down to the end, to the tips of her hair. It doesn't go from tip to root, it from roots to tip. And when he unwrapped the hand after it stopped glowing, when she stopped singing, it was healed. And he found out the reason why she never left the towers, because she was scared of what people would do when they found out about the hair. Then we skip along and go back to the boat ride, which I was talking about previously. After seeing the lights, she gave him the satchel with the tiara in it. And it didn't have the tiara. She didn't know the tiara was missing. But anyhow, she wanted to give her back the satchel, but Flynn changed. He actually liked Rapunzel, so he wanted to go and give him back and make a clean slate. But the compatriots, his ex-compatriots, wanted Rapunzel. So, along with the plan my mother Gothel could give them, she took Flynn, wrapped him up with the tiara, and sending drifting off, and was going to go and get Rapunzel. But then Mother Gothel backstabbed them, knocked them out, and made themselves look good, and took her away. After they returned to the tower and pulled out all the flowers and unloosed her hair, she lay down on her bed looking up, and she found out the painting which she always drew always had a flower in it. And the same flower was the national emblem of the country, which she still had a little flag with holding in her hand. And she found out she was the long lost princess. She was quite shocked. She came and she walked outside the door. Mother Gothel was there, and she mumbled, I am the long lost princess, aren't I? She mumbled it, and Mother Gothel said, what I said about the mumbling, and she said it again more clearly, more assertive, and called her mother, but then she said, should I call you that? Because she knew she's a long lost princess now. So she knew that she was not the mother. She wanted to go and covet the power of the flower herself. She tried to get away, but she was captured, and Flynn came back to the tower to get her. After he got the help with the people from Lucky Tavern and Maximus to go and make him escape from jail because he was going to be executed. He raced down with Maximus to the tower, called to Rapunzel to go and get her hair down so he could climb more easily down. And it was that. And it turns out Rapunzel was tied up in a chair. Yeah. And Mother Gothel was by the window in the dark, waiting. When she was able to get behind him, he stabbed him. And to save his life, Rapunzel make a deal. So she will heal him, and she will go with Mother Gothel in hiding again. But this time she will stay there and not leave at all. So before she could go and use her power to save him, Flynn cut her hair and turned into kind of like a boy cut from like by her neck here. She got a kind of uneven kind of cut. It was so good, but all her hair from there turned brown, and what was cut was quickly turning brown, and Mother Gothel tried to go and get it. She keep on holding the hair and grabbing it, trying to save it, but it couldn't be saved. And while she was walking back with the hair, she toppled over the window and fell to her death on the tower. Because the tower was like 20 feet high. It was like a skyscraper kind of height. The Flynn took Rapunzel back to the king and queen, and king and queen accepted him and forgave him of his crimes and everything. And we later found out that he keep on proposing her and she keep on saying no, until one day she said yes, and they was able to live happily, and all her friends in the tavern, but all their dreams come true as well. And the next one, which is similar, is Princess and the Frog, which is similar to kind of like Sleeping Beauty kind of thing, but no one was sleeping, and instead of a old lady which was a witch, we get a voodoo doctor person, because this was in New Orleans. The setting was in New Orleans, and instead of a real princess, we get a real prince instead. And this prince was a kind of playboy prince. And he was so bad with spending all his money and always playing and having parties that the king and queen wanted to cut him off. So he's there with his ballet butler, whatever you want to call him. He went to New Orleans to have a good time. But earlier on in the beginning, we were introduced to two girls. Tiana, this poor girl in New Orleans, whose mother was a maid, I believe she was a maid, and her father, who was a poor man, but even though he could only support his family with his little earnings which he had, he taught her the importance of family and community. So when they made a dish called jumbo, which is a native dish to New Orleans, which is very popular among the commoners there, they'll make a huge pot of the jumbo and will call the neighbors and have a party-like gathering there. So she wanted to make her own restaurant to make her family's famous jumbo and share it with her community, because that is what she learned, the importance of community, and wanted to her father's dream of being a famous chef to succeed, because her father died when she was very young. The next girl which we saw was the daughter of her mother's boss, and unlike them, he was a very, very rich man. He is what we would call the king of New Orleans there. But they grew up like sisters, despite one being a pauper and one being a princess. Which reminds me, there's a Barbie movie which is called Barbie and Princess and the Pauper, which is very good. For those who are interested in Barbie, you can see that as well, which have a similar storyline as well. Except for the princess and the pauper looked like, except for the hairstyle, so they changed the color of their hair with a wig or something along that line, and was able to go and experience what was like a princess and what was like being a pauper, free from the tiring life being a royal. Anyhow, back to Princess and the Frog. The prince, being the prince, was having a good time despite being locked out of his own money by his parents because of his partying and things. And heard about this party which the girl of the business tycoon, which I was I told previously was a friend of Tiana. And it so happened beforehand they met the voodoo doctor guy who said he will make their dreams come true. The, the prince wanted back his money and be able to play and everything. And struck a deal with him. But what the voodoo doctor did next was very unexpected. He turned the prince into a frog and took make the ballet guy into the prince by taking one of his amulets which he got and took a little bit of blood from the prince, and once he put it around his neck here, the valet, who was a fat white man and very short, turned the tall, brown, handsome prince. So all he had to do is keep it on, and everybody will think he is the prince. But it will only stay active for a very short time. After the time expires, he will have to go on and take blood from the prince and refill it back. And you only wait for the curse of being a frog to go on and be relieved is to go and kiss a princess. So he tried to find a princess, but he found Tiana, who dressed up like a princess. And he thought since she was dressed up like a princess, it would work, but it did not. It turned her into a frog as well. So they had to escape because they are frogs now. So everybody would want to kill them. So they, after fleeing for safety, they went into a river-like place. I can't recall the famous swampy river thing in New Orleans. And oh yes, the bayou. We jumped to the bayou where they are gonna find this old lady who would tell them what they had to do. And because Tiana's friend was like a princess and always wanted to be a princess, they made a plan to make her kiss the prince, so both of them will be able to go on and become human again. But they fell in love with her. And after finding out what her dream was to open up her family's restaurant, he decided to make a deal with the friend when they got back to this civilization. And she will kiss him. After kissing him, he will get married to her. She will be able to become a princess, and her friend Tiana will be able to have enough money to pay off the bank and be able to open the business. But when they found out they were enough, her friend, Tiana's friend, decided to waive off that condition and for Tiana and him to be together. But it was too late. The bell struck 12. It was the next day, and it wasn't able to go on and complete the condition, so they stayed there as frogs forever. But they were happy because they will be together. even if they couldn't be human. But after they went back to the bayou and they got married, they turned human. So they found out all they had. When she got married, she automatically became a princess. So the spell was broken. She was able to reunite with her friend and mom. She was able to go and open up her business, and the king and queen came to the opening ceremony there, and he was able to live happily as a princess after. And the next one I want to talk to you about is Moana. Moana, despite being not a princess in title, she is still like a princess because she is the daughter of the chief, yeah, in Coconut. I believe that is the name of the country, the island they lived. And they were very superstitious people with believing in God, different type of gods, and they have a legend about the goddess of the which is Mother Island gave birth to different islands by dragging them off from the ground. And then you see bed and left them up. And there's a half god named Maui. Maui was a demigod who was like a hero to them. But then Maui took the heart of Tafiti, which is the name of the goddess who they believe was the mother of all islands. And after taking the heart of Tafiti, he was then imprisoned by the gods in an island which he had to stay for the rest of his days. So, and nobody heard of him since. Then Moana grew up. We saw her as a little child fantasizing about being in the ocean, but there was a rule stating that they couldn't go in the ocean. They'll stay in their island and never pass the reefs that surrounded it. But when she grew up, the coconut trees started dying. Fishes were starting to get scarce, or not, didn't get any fish at all. And she wanted to help her people, but it was nothing she could really do. Only advised them to go in different fishing areas and plant a new grove of coconut tree. If I saying it correctly. If the correct term is not grove, let's comment down below and tell me the correct thing to say. Yeah, what is the correct term of a group of coconut trees in one places? But then her grandmother started to die. She was in her deathbed. And unlike everyone else, her grandmother knew of the history and accepted it and wanted her family and her people to be free and be able to go and venture out into the ocean again, because her people was voyagers. But then something happened and they got scared and stayed in their main island, and there for centuries they stood. And every time there's a new chief, they will plant a rock on top of the previous one to state that they will stay there they will not leave the island and continue the tradition of staying there and living off the island alone. But she wanted more. Moana wanted more. And afterwards she unearthed a hidden cave, and she found out her people was voyagers. And when her grandmother died, she took the big trip which she saw, which was the main chef where the chief was supposed to be using. If not that the main chef, one of the important members of the tribe, because it was decorated in the main seal, which hold a very important part in the tribe from the drawings which we saw. And she took the boat, took the kind of crazy rooster which they had, very small and thin, and was supposed to be killed, but she didn't want to kill it yet, so she took it as a pet. Then we saw, she had a tough time to go and get out of the reef, but with her determination, she was able to find a way to break past the reef and go into the ocean, with the ocean's help. And like normal oceans, this one was alive, like literally alive. She could talk to the ocean, and the ocean will have a small wave to go on and communicate by nodding the top of the wave or carrying things with it. So they decided to go to Maui. And the only way to go to Maui is to go and follow the end of the hook of Maui, which was lit up in the sky, which looked just like the hook which Maui uses. She would fall asleep and drift off course, so she had to go and try to make her best to make the boats which she was in move, and was able to go in the correct direction. But then she got tired and she wanted the ocean's help. And the ocean, instead of being normal gentle self, it decided to make a huge gigantic tsunami like wave. And that one and scared the fancies of Moana. If she was a grown man, that he would have gone and black out if not worse. Lucky thing she was in the ocean, if not that happened. And next thing she knows, she wakes up in an island with hooks that is made of little ducks, which was Maui's hook. And she was able to find Maui. He tried to go and trap her in that ocean, in a cave, and be free from the island. But she was tenacious and had no choice but to take her along. And he decided to help her after a very, very, very tiring attempt of knocking she out of the boat into the ocean, because the ocean will keep on putting her back in. So I had no choice but to help her. They went to the island of in the land of monsters, where we found a gigantic crab, which he pulled out of one of the leg from. And this crab was not only was monstrous big, we found out he was a cannibal. He ate his grandmother. So that is very twisted. And he loved singing and talking to himself. And when he got this hook, Maui couldn't shapeshift again. Well, he could still shapeshift, but he turned to a half man, half shark. He turned to a fish when he wanted to be a falcon. All kind of thing he turned into it, but not what he wanted. But in the end, he still wanted to go on and the house job, but he lost his macho, because what the crab knew was his true history. Why Maui became a demigod? Not because one of his parents was a human and his other parent was a god. His parents were human. Both mother and father was human. But they casted him out of the ocean. Not like Moses. It was when his mother put him in a basket in the river Nile to save his life, because the Pharaoh wanted to kill him. Because he stated that all male slaves would be killed. Now, we don't know if he wanted to go and save him, so they put him in the ocean. But we saw in his tattoos, which we all know, after every important thing which he did, important thing that happened in his life, it will turn into a tattoo. And we saw in big, bold, black drawing tattoo, who his mother cast them in the ocean. No protective clothing. Well, of course, they didn't have no protective clothing for water at the time then. But no basket, no cloth, nothing. Naked as he born, jumped in the ocean. But the god saved them, gave him the hook, and turned him into a demigod to save his life. And the reason why he wanted to go on and take the heart of Tafiti was to give the gift of her power to the humans, so he would like them. They'll keep on liking him. But it backfired. Everybody hated him, and now the islands are dying. It took them a couple hundred years, but the islands are finally started to die. And if not, it had countless islands previously that died off and sank in the bottom of the ocean or something, and only now one island is being affected. And that is the reason why she wanted to go back and get to Maui to go and get back. He had a Tipiti to give and save her people. After he got back, he was confident because Moana, just like any other Disney type of princess, was able to go channel. And later on, we saw he taught her how the proper way to sail. And when they reached where Heart of the City is supposed to be, there was a lava monster which was always blocking his path. And when he tried to go past him, his staff got broken. Well, his hook got broken. He crawled with Moana because she wanted to go in a kind of narrow or opening space where the car, which is the name of the monster, is, and that's how his hook got broken. Well, damaged. Moana got very depressed, thought she couldn't do it, make the wrong decision of even trying to get the Heart of the City back and table people. But she saw a glowing stingray, I believe this name, yeah. A glowing stingray which became the form of her grandmother. And after the musical number is there, she decided that she would try again. She took back the Heart of the City, went back to the boat. The grandma ghost was not there anymore, and tried her luck again. But this time she succeeded. She escaped the car and went to the island. And Maui came back as well and helped her. But this time it was completely broken. He no longer had the powers of God, so he became a human again. But when Moana went to where Te was supposed to be lying, it wasn't there. It had only the imprint of where she was there. When she turned around, she noticed the spiral she had placed in the heart was in the car. So she found out, surprise! She found out the car, the lava of monster, was actually the goddess of life, the mother of islands, Tahiti. Tahiti. She went to Tahiti, the car in the canal, and placed in. But while she was walking, after the ocean parted for her, so Taka, who was fine, could go and walk towards her because she is fire and the ocean is water, so it would have died out. So parted the water and they meet it halfway in a rock. And while she was singing, she sang the song the grandmother sang to her, of listening of who you are. and she placed the heart of Tafiti into the spiral and whispered timidly of who you, singing who you are. Remember who you are. And then we see in Taka eyes are still closed, but she closed them earlier when Moana was put in the hard back, and it was crumbling down. The body red in her cooled down, turned black, and it turned completely into stone and was crumbling away. And in its place, we saw her growing bigger and became Tahiti again. She turned green, had green luscious hair instead of being bald, from like she was previously. And we saw ocean, and the ocean took Maui and placed him on top of the cliff where Tahiti took Moana. The ocean took Moana to Tahiti's cliff and then dumped him, Maui there, and the chicken as well, the rooster. Maui was forgiven. He got back his hook, and she went back to her island and taught her family family, friends, and rest of her people how to sail and became voyagers again. And we see them singing the same song which was being sung as a musical number when she found out her family was voyaging. Her tribe was voyagers previously. And as that song was singing in the background, we saw Maui transformed into a falcon and was flying near Moana. And that is how the movie ended. The next one which I wanted to talk about was Encanto. Encanto was, what year was it? I believe it was 2001. It's a 1 hour and 52 minutes family fantasy movie. In the beginning, we see a young couple who just had children, triplets, 1 girl. And conquistadors, Spanish soldiers, came and was going to attack the people of that town. The father stayed in the middle of where they were when they escaped and the conquistadors. And we didn't see him got shot and killed, but we saw his wife, and we knew he was shot and killed her, if not stabbed by a sword. She had a candle which he gifted her, and she fell down in the ground crying, holding onto her children. And the candle with its decoration started to light, and something miraculous happened. It had started to grow walls around the place they was in. If you know in the Himalayas about a tribe of people down there in the base of the mountain, they are in the middle of a mountain kind of range surrounded them, and that's how it looked. And there grew a house. It a house was there, but then next time you blink your eyes, you see a house. It had windows, roof, freshly painted, yeah, yellow brick walls. The roof was painted, everything. And it wasn't a small house either. It was a big house, like almost mansion size. More like a villa. It was a villa size. And the people there that was with her built their own houses, and the town started to grow there one by one. When her 3 children was old enough, she took the candle and a door would automatically pop up, well, start to be drawn into the wall, and will have their picture, and along with their picture, it will show what their gift is. They will be granted an ability. One of the daughter had granted the ability to heal any sickness and any injury by cooking any food which she could make, and once it's ingested, it will be able to go and heal them. So he was a village doctor. This is sorry about that. The only son she had, Bruno is his name, who granted this special ability to tell the future. But as you know, not all the future predictions can be good. Some, if not most, would be bad. So people didn't like him for his ability, because if he said the priest will go bald, you'll go bald. The fish will die. Even though it is a natural thing, of course, the fish will die at some point in time. It is natural. But because he said the fish will die, and the fish died, it was like a ominous premonition. And even his own family was scared of him, and he was like an outcast. Then one day, this little girl named Maribel, who's the daughter, the youngest of 3 daughters of the daughter that can heal the sick. It was time for giving ceremony, and unlike the others, the light was coming out of the wall like it would normally do to make a door, but then it disappeared, and nobody knew what it meant. And the grandmother asked her son Bruno to make a premonition to know what was going on. He made a premonition, but then he disappeared. Nobody knew who he was, but later on found out one person knew. The cousin and these his other sisters daughter. Um, Not Marabella's mother daughter, but the other sister daughter. Uh, um, she had the power to hear even a pin drop from a mile away. 10 miles away. Drop that old pen. She knew where it fell and when it fell. Now how good her hearing is. So she knew Bruno was there, but she never told he was there. So everybody think he disappeared and left the house and never returned. But Bruno was in the walls of the house. The house would cater rooms for them to live. So we know he would be taken care of. And we found out he was living not in his room, which he would normally be, but behind the wall, which was the dinner table for his family. And we found out the premonition which he had was, according to Maribel's decision, it can ruin the family and destroy the house, or the house will stay. And he didn't know what will happen to Maribel, so to protect her, he had to leave. But he made another premonition to go and find out more about his previous premonition, and because Maribel asked him to. But because Maribel and destroyed his room by mistake, he had to go on and use his nephew's room, which was a newly gifted person in the family who was able to communicate with animals, and found out she had to go on and make peace with her older sister, who had the ability to grow flowers and was very beautiful. She had another sister who was blonde. So she had a beautiful sister, a strong sister, beauty and blonde, and she's in the middle. She has glasses. She looked like her mother, but because of her gift ceremony was different from the others and she didn't get law, she was ostracized by her family. She was treated like how Bruno was being treated, but worse, because she didn't have a gift at all. And the whole town treated like that. So when you found out she had to make peace with her sister Isabella, it was very hard because she was the flower child, the perfect daughter. And she couldn't stand her at all. But when she found out that she wasn't that different from Maribel, they was able to make peace. But her grandmother didn't want her to act how she was acting. She looked down on Maribel because she didn't have a gift and thought it was so like, but why you all gonna and treat your own granddaughter like that? And she was only a child, like 5, 10 years old at the time. They had to be a certain age to have a gift given ceremony, but still a child. And Maribel blew up, and the house was destroyed as the result. Like literally crumbled it away, and she she had to leave because she thought it was her fault, and she found her grandmother sitting crouching down where her husband died. After finding out the truth about how they were able to be granted gifts, she comforted her grandmother and understood the reason why she was so hard on them. She didn't want to lose another family member like she lost her husband. And after reconciling with her grandmother, Bruno came out, and was at he finally got the courage to go and tell his mother what he had on his mind after so many years. He was given a hug by his mother after who knows how many years he didn't get a hug. Even when Marabella was still a child before the gift given to her, he probably wasn't given a hug by his mother. The grandmother and Marabella all went back to the song where the whole family was looking for Marabelle. And they found out Bruno was with them. They accepted him back with open arms, and a miracle will happen again. The candle that was melted away, the magic that held in it came back, and the house came back when the people build back their house. They did it old-fashioned way. They bring the boards and cemented the place and whatnot. And after it looked like how it was supposed to be, the magic that was in the candle stayed in the water when the candle disappeared, melted away, and went back in the house, and it came back to life, and they got their powers again. But this time, everyone, including everyone in, not only in her family, but the townspeople as well, all came line up just like it would be in a gift given ceremony. A Maribel this time walked very proudly and was going to open the door, but when she went, she saw M from Maribel, which they made so everybody, they made a man-made door for her to go and express their thanks and appreciation for her. And when she held the door, she saw herself and her family. It turned from a normal entrance door into one of the magical doors. So we see later on at the end, she did grant the an ability, not a physical ability which they can see with the eyes. She can grow plants. She can change the weather. They can talk to animals. Can hear a pin drop fall. Can predict the future. But she is what made her family stay together. That was her ability to safeguard the magic itself in your house. It tied her to itself. So, as long as Maribel stayed in the family, the magic will exist. So, we will see probably Maribel's children. One of them will be granted the ability to be the safekeeper of the magic, while the others will get physical abilities or mental abilities like the rest of the family. And that is how the movie of Encanto ended. And let's see if there was any other movies which I saw I can go and tell you. I did Princess Frog and Ting and Tango. Oh, Raya and the Last Dragon. For the, it is a kind of oldish kind of movie, but it is a good one still. It was let's see, what was the year? 2021. And we're in 2024, so it was 3 years ago. It is a 1 hour. Let's see. It was a 1 hour and 55 minutes movie. I should leave my glasses out. So you can see me better, because all this light and it reflecting off the glasses, so you're probably not seeing me clearly. And it is about this girl named Raya. Just like Moana, she is not a princess, but she is a daughter of a chief. But unlike the others previously, this is a world of dragons. And the dragons are the protectors here. And they guarded the humans from a vile, monstrous creature that is frog-like, which can multiply because it is born from the negative emotions of man. And each dragon have a special ability, just like those that are in Encanto, in Maribel's family. And just like Maribel and her family, there is a dragon named Sui. Sui is a water dragon, which we see doesn't really have an ability. She still have the power to fly and house and ability to swim very, very fast, because she's a water dragon. But there probably are other dragons that could go as just as fast, if not faster. But if she have to tell you one her ability, it will be this one fast. But if not class as ability, and she's just like Maribel in her family. She doesn't have a special ability. But many years ago, uh, the dragons were overwhelmed. She and her siblings were surrounded, and they each took an little piece of their power and made an orb like object and gave it to Sui, and they were able to go and defeat the monstrous beings that was strong to them. But Sui was the only dragon left that was unaffected. The dragons, just like humans, if they are touched by the creatures, would turn into stone. And she fell into a deep sleep after activating the orb which her siblings gave her. And there grew 5 tribes: Talon, Fang, Heart, and I forget the others, but it was other. Tail. They took pieces of the dragon and named it the tribe after them. And each tribe had its chief. They would normally stay by themselves, but Raya's father at the time was chief, and he wanted everybody to go on and reunite and made their land one again. When the dragons was there, their land was one, but when the dragons left, they fractured into 5 places, and we then see the lay of the land was like a dragon. The river which they placed their homes in made a shape of the dragon, and one of the tails or ends of the river would be where Sui is rumored to be sleeping. But nobody was able to find her then. So Mariah's father tried in his own way to go on and make them be a one land again. And he invited everybody from all the tribes into a meeting and a festival to be able to do just that. But then Fang's leader's daughter had other days. She was instructed by her mother, the chief of Fang, to go and get the orb which Aya's father was in charge of guarding. So she had to go and pretend to befriend her, but they was alike, and Raya was very cross when she found out the truth, even more so than she would have necessarily needed to be, because she really liked her and thought they were real friends. Anyway, when the orb was taken, They were attacked by the monsters, and everyone that was there was turned to stone. She was the only one left in her tribe that was able to escape. Fang's leader, daughter, and the others all escaped. But before that, when Fang's daughter uh, was there in the hidden chamber where the orb was, it was broken into 5 pieces. And each tribe took a piece and gathered. And years went by, she turned into a young adult, a teenager, about 16 or so years, just like any normal storyline and Disney movies are. And she was able to find Sui. She would go to different ends of the river and make a ceremony which would call Sui back. And when she reached this end, she did it, and Sui did came back, but Sui found out it wasn't just days, it was hundreds of years later. She woke up back, and she found out the orb that she had. It was broken into pieces. So she and Raya came up and would go and travel to the different tribes to get back the pieces. So he wasn't what Raya expected, and some ways she was disappointed at her. But some ways she was able to go and help her out, and piece by piece they became friends. She couldn't trust anyone again thanks to the daughter of the Fangs, but she was able to learn to trust in her companions. First it was Sui, then a little orphan boy, and then bit by little bit, they was able to get back the pieces of the orb. And every time a piece of the orb joins back, Sui was granted the ability of her family. Rani and the others. Rani, I believe, was the dragon that could control rain. So after she got the orb, that piece of the orb that had its ability, she was able to go on and fall on rain again. When she got one of her sister's ability to shapeshift, she was able to shapeshift into a human. And as it goes by, they was getting more orbs or pieces, and it got stronger and stronger. She found out that the place where her family was laid in stone was the same place Raya's people was living in. It was so they had dragon's heart. And we later on find out they would go to Fang to get their piece. And the chief's daughter were um, well, she wasn't actually that bad. She just did what was for her people. But as you know, she still took the trust of Raya and destroyed it. So she didn't accept that she could be even trustworthy. But Sui believed on her. And when she thought she they will be attacked, Raya uh, counted her. And when she did so, the arrow which the friend had, or ex-friend had, was fired and it landed on Sui, and she fell, and the water subsided. With her gone, there was no water, so that was her ability. We found out her ability was granting the people water. And with her gone, there was no more defenses against the evil creatures or what was making them into stone. We found then Raya was able to make amends with the friend. At first, she was gonna kill her because she believed she was in the wrong and blamed her for Sui's death. But then Raya was able to listen to the advice her friend Sui made, because Sui was her friend and she did trust Sui. So she decided to trust in what her idea of what should be, and decided to trust her ex-friend again. Each one would take their piece which they had and give it to her. First was Raya, then it was the was the one who lost his family to the monsters, and in the end it was the little boy. She took her piece which she had and formed it back. She placed it down and went and touched her shoulder, Raya's shoulder, and she turned to stone as well. But it started to glow, and Sui and all the dragons came back, and every single one throughout the years that turned to stone came back normal. Then they didn't transport or anything back where Sui and the others were. They stayed there, so they didn't know what was happened. So those who became friends with Sui and Raya went back to the different tribes and told them what happened, and they were able to become one people again, like how it was before. Raya was able to accept that people, no matter what they do, they deserve the forgiveness, and forgave her friend, and they were better for it. See, Raya was better for it, and everyone was at peace. Well, that was how Raya and the Last Dragon was, and I will say goodbye for now. In next 20 or so minutes, I will come back and I will be talking about um, Naruto and Naruto Shippuden again. I did a previous video about Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, but this time I will be going in more detail and I will be showing you different gifts I received throughout the years, which is anime related. Not just Naruto related, but Bleach and Fairy Tail, if those who know about Fairy Tail and things like that. So let's give me 10 or so minutes. I'll get everything ready and I'll come back and tell you.